Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 280 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Of course, we're here every Wednesday and Friday night, Friday night being our DFS show on the Going for Two Live podcast network. You can find us on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitter. If you are on Twitter, we cannot see comments on Twitter, so please go find us on YouTube. You can find us at youtube.com/going for two live. I am here with my co-hosts as always, Mr. Gerson. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing, man?
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Tim, how you doing, man?
I'm doing real good, man. I'm happy it's Friday. We're looking forward to this weekend, man. Breaking down the slate. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm ready to put week two behind me. I don't know about y'all, but I'm putting week two behind me for sure.
Now we're on to week 3.
Yes, sir. All right, let's go ahead and do the rewind.
The weekly rewind. Rewind.
All right, we're going to start to do the rewind a little bit different. We're going to give one good play and one bad play that we had from the previous week. Tim, we'll go to you first. Give us your good first.
Yeah, my good was Tyreek Hill. It was definitely my highest scoring player last week. I didn't have much exposure, but he was in my best lineup of the week. Unfortunately, also in that lineup was a guy I had a lot of exposure to last week, Javonte Williams. And really just the Broncos let down in general. But Javonte, man, he had one target last week after 11 of week 1. Yep. Just absolutely killed my lineup. So, yeah.
Yep. Gerson, what you got for your good?
My good was Nick Chubb, man. I said I have a Chubb for Chubb on the show. I don't know how that sounds really good for a guy, but you know what I mean? Like, honestly, I was all over him on Sunday, and I liked him on Friday night. I mean, I did leave him out of the sheet, my bad, but I did make sure that we got it in, and he came through. Great call.
Yep, good stuff. What about your bad side?
Ooh, the guy Tim just mentioned, Devontae Adams. I mean, I love that Raiders tag. I love the Raiders. I mean, it just didn't work out. But it happened, man. You hit or you miss. I mean, but that's the thing. You can't. It's like a goldfish. They have short-term memory. We have to have short-term memory, guys. And I say that to my third-grade football team that I'm coaching right now. So we all better have short-term memory and keep moving on, fellas.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
hey, can I make one point real quick? So I noticed none of us put Saquon, even though I know we were all high on Saquon last week. I want to say last week I saw Saquon was 43% in the Millie Maker. This is just a general rule for future use. If a running back is going to be 40+% owned, probably don't play that guy in tournaments. He just had bust written all over him. So that was something we all kind of got. We'll take a mutual L on Saquon.
Yeah, I was at a museum in DC on Sunday, and when I got out, the games had already started. And I looked at Saquon's box score. And
I remember you said that.
Like, did he get hurt? Like, what happened to him? Like, what the hell? But no, he just was not. They just weren't giving him the ball. It was just bad.
Didn't you say Kyron Granson had more points than Saquon?
He did. Yes,
yes, that was pretty brutal. So my one good was Jalen Waddle, of course, in that game, that monster game with Miami and Baltimore. I did have Waddle in a good amount of lineups. Unfortunately, the lineups I had him in my Bengals stack lineups, which my lock of the week was Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon did not do anything for me, so he killed most of my tournament lineups. So that was my unfortunate choice last week of lock of the week. I think we all missed last week on lock of the week.
Yeah,
for sure.
So definitely not a good week. Ready to move on. Let's go ahead and get to this week.
Let's talk quarterbacks.
All right, this is our 20-minute segment of quarterbacks here, Gerson. Let's start with you at the elite.
Shut the hell up, dude. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. So my elite is definitely. I mean, I've touted this guy all year, and I'm gonna keep touting him over and over. But it's Jalen Hurts, man. We have to keep playing this guy. The funny thing about Jalen Hurts, we haven't really seen, in my opinion, we haven't seen his ceiling yet, because my ceiling game to him is 3 touchdowns and that 1 rushing touchdown, right? I mean, this guy had only 1 passing touchdown this year, but he has that rushing upside, right? Konami code quarterback. And he's getting yards, 333 yards. That's what we want, right? I mean, A.J. Brown's getting yards, catches and reception. Obviously, that's what he does. That's his wide receiver. But tight end, he's spreading it all around. The first week was against Detroit, 38-35, high-scoring game. Second week, 24-7. And I'm not overly, concerned about, the game environment like other people are. I don't think Washington defense is as good as anybody. It's not good at all. So, I understand people are thinking, this might be a blowout. I said this before, and, well, actually, I haven't said it live or anywhere in public, but I think Philadelphia is my dark horse for Super Bowl winner this year. My dark horse. I love the way they're built their team, 7,600. Vegas agreed with me. They have a 26.75 point total. I have him projected for almost 24 points. And that's just the median range projection, And he's my second best value quarterback. So I'm going to go pretty overweight on Jalen Hurts. He's coming in at 9.3% ownership.
Yeah, the big thing for me with him last week was in week 1, it was all A.J. Brown. Whereas last week, all of a sudden, he's getting Devontae Smith in there. He's getting Dallas Goedert in there. He even got Quez Watkins in there. If he's doing that with the rushing upside, I mean, wheels up for that kid. He's gonna be a beast this year for DFS, for fantasy, for the NFL, you name it. All right, Tim, you got the other Konami Code quarterback there in the elite. Talk about Mr. Josh Allen.
Yeah, I will. But before I don't want to skip over one of the biggest news stories of the week. First of all, lock in. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. Lock in on the Sunday show. Listen to Gerson for the last minute news. But the big news of the week is Justin Herbert may or may not be playing. You guys know that I love paying attention to Vegas. And Vegas has moved almost 7 points on the Chargers. Game opened around 30, and now it's down to 23. They went from being favored by 10 to being favored by 3.5. So Vegas is saying if Herbert's playing, he's probably not going to be 100%. So you probably, just heads up, won't hear a lot of Chargers on this program tonight. Definitely tune into the Sunday show for the latest. But I do want to talk about Josh Allen because this dude is an absolute monster this year. He's got like 30 points, over 30 points every game, and he just looks like it makes it easy, right? Like, that's the crazy thing, is he's not out there like, I feel like he's really grinding to have to get 30 points that week. He's just like, oh, what, we don't have Gabe Davis this week? Okay, I'll just get, what's his name? Jake Kumaro involved, right? Like, he's just out there playing backyard football and scoring 30 points a week. He's got, Gabe Davis might play. Steph Diggs is killing it. And he's historically owned Miami. I think he's averaging over 30 points in his games against Miami. So I don't know how you don't play Josh Allen this week. I love Jalen Hurts. I'll certainly have Hurts too. But my favorite stacks this week are probably Josh Allen.
Yeah, there was one thing I noticed that I kind of caught me by surprise a little bit. Now, granted, it's only 2 weeks into the season, but I sorted DVOA, for pass defense. I sorted it, from worst to first. And the Miami Dolphins are 31st DVOA versus the pass right now, which I didn't think they were that bad. Now, they're great against the run, but I thought they'd be better than that. I'm going to say it's only 2 games, so that can definitely change, but not as good as I thought they were going to be against the pass this year. So, yeah, I love Josh Allen.
Yeah, they're really missing Byron Jones. They pretty much have Xavier and Howard out there and a bunch of scrubs. So
on an island, man. On an island.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're making him play the best player every down. And so they're just torching the other side.
Yep. All right. So y'all took the 2 elite guys that I had in my list there. So I'm going to move down into the mid tier and talk about Kirk Cousins at 6.7 going up against Detroit. This has the second highest total on the slate. And the most important stat with Kirk Cousins is this game's not in prime time. That's really the key thing. Kirk Cousins is terrible in prime time. I don't know why I played him last week in prime time, but definitely do not put Kirk Cousins in your lineups in prime time. He is terrible. But at 6.7 with that high game score, I expect this game to be very high owned. A lot of good players in this game that are going to be highly owned. But Kirk Cousins, if you stack him with Justin Jefferson, bring him back with Amon-Ra St. Brown, you got a pretty good stack there. All right, Gerson, let's go to your mid-tier guy here.
So, Tua Tagovailoa, I mean, I tell these, and I don't say this to just fucking, promote going for two or everything, but like I tell you guys this, well, I guess it is a promo, but I tell you this more for yourself. Like, tune in to Sunday's show because I give you the answer to the test. And on Sunday, I said I was going to have Tua Tagovailoa. While Marcus Peter and those guys did come up on the report that they were going to play, I still said that I was still on him. I'm still going to play him. And, well, he saved my ass on Sunday. I don't know about you guys, but he saved my ass. Like, him and Nick Chubb, they saved me. I mean, if it wasn't for them, I would have had a really bad week, but they saved me. Tua Tagovailoa, man. I'm going all in on this game. This is the game of the week. This is the game I'm going to target. I'm all in. Tua Tagovailoa right now. I mean, if you look at him right now, the Bills and Chiefs on top right now, always for like top offense, right? But I wouldn't be shocked if the Dolphins' offense by the end of the year is a top 5. I already think they're a top 5 offense, but I wouldn't be shocked. They're right up there. And I think a lot of people put a lot of hate on Tua because he can't throw the ball. I don't give a shit. I mean, throw that ball. I guarantee you Tyreek going to come back 3 yards to catch that ball. And he did it. We saw that play on the red zone. I don't know if you guys watch the red zone, but I watch it every Sunday. But that ball was floating in the air, and Tyreek still came back and got it. Through 2 weeks, the Miami Dolphins offers the 3rd highest passing rate over expectation. Tua Tagovailoa has done nothing but been great. And I think it's just more people being hated on him. 739 yards and 7 touchdowns. What more do you want, you know? Yeah. I mean, I understand the hate on him, but I have no hate. This is awesome, and this is what I'm going to keep attacking. I'm gonna play Tua.
Yeah, one thing I'll say, I've been victory lapping Tua because I've been talking about him all offseason for season-long people, talking about how good I think he'll be this year. The one thing that's sort of lost in this whole like dink and dunk is that Tua actually last year had the highest completion percentage of quarterbacks of 20 yards or deeper. I don't know if anybody know that, but 50% of his passes that are over 20 yards he completed last year. He didn't throw very many of them, but he did have the highest percentage as far as completions go. So this whole deep ball throwing thing that he can't do, supposedly, I'm not buying it. I think he has a perfect deep ball. He just didn't have the offense that was built around throwing the deep ball last year. So I think Tua is fine. So I love Tua going forward. All right, Tim, talk about your mid-tier guy there.
Yeah, this was one of my best calls this week. And spoiler alert, hang on to this for the end of the show, but it's Matt Stafford. This is a guy who, first of all, I'll go to, his stacking options are incredible every week. But this week he gets to play Arizona Cardinals, who we're just going to absolutely pick on all year long, right? They have one of the worst secondaries in the league, and they play a pace just like the Rams do. So they're going to get plenty of opportunities to pick on this team. They also have one of the highest totals on the week at 26 points. A lot of the other games have come down, a lot of the other totals. This one came down 2 points, but it's still almost a 50-point over-under. I think this game's going to be a shootout. So I want a lot of Stafford stacks because I think a lot of other people will go on Cousins.
Good stuff. So that was it for my mid-tier was Cousins. So I'll move down into the value tier. I'll kick off the value tier with Jared Goff in that same game as Cousins on the other side at 5.8. Originally, I was really high on Cousins and having all my stacks. And then I realized, if I drop down to Jared Goff at 5.8, I can fit some really good players into my lineup. So, Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown have been lighting it up so far. Now, I do wish this game would be at home. Goff's a much better home quarterback than he is a away quarterback. He is playing in Minnesota. But I still like Goff at that 5.8 price. I think he had 26 points last week. So I do think that he has that upside there if you want to go with the value tier with Jared Goff there at 5.8. All right, Tim, talk about the other value guy we have.
Yeah, so this name kind of surprised me when it popped up. I told you guys earlier before the show that I was going through projections this week, and a few things stuck out to me, and one of them was Marcus Mariota. This guy has played the Los Angeles Rams and the New York Saints, and he's averaging almost 19 points a game. And this week he gets to play Seattle, which in almost every defensive metric is one of the worst teams in the league. Right. So I don't see how he doesn't way more than 3x's value and maybe 4x's value at 5,500 this week. And spoiler alert for the tight end section, I think this is Kyle Pitts week. I'm going to have a bunch of exposure to Kyle Pitts in tournaments this week. Last week was Drake London. This week is Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I like Mariota as well against Seattle. I think week one he had, 72 rushing yards is what he had in week one. He didn't have as much in week two, but he still had 6 carries against a really good defense. I do think that rushing upside gives him a nice floor. And then, like you mentioned, Seattle's defense is just terrible. So he will get some touchdowns there. And I hope you're right about Kyle Pitts because I have him in a lot of my leagues. So please.
Oh, I have him too. I have him too. Trust me. Right now, I'm like, if there's a panic button, I smash the shit out of that button.
All right. Gerson doesn't have a value. His value just says get the fuck out of here on the little sheet there. So he doesn't have any value quarterbacks. Let's go ahead and jump into the tight ends.
Did somebody say tight ends?
All right, Tim, I'll go to you first since you only have one elite tight end listed there. Go ahead and talk about Kelsey.
I do, yeah, Travis Kelce. I didn't talk about Patrick Mahomes in the quarterback, but obviously Patrick Mahomes is in play every single week, and I don't think anyone's paying up for tight end this week, and that's why I really like Travis Kelce. I always like to kind of zig when everybody else zags, and this week everybody's punting tight end, so I like to pay up. So I'm going to have some Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce stacks, probably throw some Juju in there. I don't know who I'm going to run it back with on the Colts at this point, but, I think Pittman should be good to go. So maybe him, but it's going to be, I don't think that the likelihood that he doesn't pay off is greater than the percentage he's going to be owned.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I like Travis Kelce, right? Because, you're looking for that, how to be different, but also how to score the most points. And I think he checks both of those boxes.
Yep, I like it. All right, Gerson, talk about the other top-tier tight end that we got there.
I mean, there's not a lot to explain between these two tight ends, right? They're the best in the game. That's all it is. When Kyle Pitts shows up, maybe we'll talk about him, but the motherfucker. Mark Andrews, man. I mean, the guy had 11 targets, 9 receptions, 140 yards, and a touchdown, man. Like, that's what you want in a tight end. You just want him to get targets and whatnot. We always say red zone usage is the king of tight end, and Mark Andrews always getting targeted down there. The thing that I tell people about paying up for tight end, you better have good value, And if you don't have good value, it's really going to affect you a lot. And there is value on this slate, but I don't know if there's value enough to pay up for a tight end.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good wide receivers in this game, in this slate. And there's a lot of good value running back. And I think we're going to be talking about this in the next couple sections. But give me Mark Andrews against New England. But like I always said, New England, fucking Bill Belichick always loved to take away the best weapon, and that's Mark Andrews. He's going to find a way to double cover him and whatnot. And they're going to try to let Rashad Bateman beat them, which he will. I think Rashad Bateman is a good play this week. I don't know how much exposure I have to him, but Mark Andrews for sure, $6,900 to $1,000 cheaper than Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I agree there. I like both those guys there in the top tier. The other guy I had in the top tier, he's close to the mid tier, but it's Darren Waller versus Tennessee at 5.8. He's got 14 targets through 2 games, and the Titans are 26 versus the pass in DVOA. So I think Darren Waller has a sort of a breakout game. I know he's been decent, but he hasn't been Darren Waller. With Renfro being already listed as out this week, I think Waller kind of steps into some more targets this week. And at 5.8, I like that price tag for Waller, where you can sort of get an elite tight end potential without having to pay the Kelce or the Andrews price. All right, let's move down into the mid tier here, Tim. Go ahead and talk about the boy you got highlighted there.
I do, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and bite the bullet, whether it makes Gerson uncomfortable or not, and play Kyle Pitts this week. I'm going to have a good amount because I think Seattle is one of the teams that will match him up on a linebacker. Traditionally, he's been much more effective when matched up on linebackers than safeties and corners. Gets him much, better routes across the middle of the field, which is I think he's going to chew up against Seattle Seahawks. So I don't know if he's going to have one of those like London breakout type games. But again, I think he's got a shot to have a really good week. And because of the recency bias, nobody wants to play him.
Yep. Yeah, that's the big thing right there. Recency bias. He's going to be super low owned because of that.
Yeah.
And kind of like Waller in that sense, there's the potential of that elite ceiling If you can get that at 4.8, you definitely want to go for that. All right, Gerson, what do you got in your mid-tier for tight ends?
Well, first off, I'm still hoping for a Kyle Pitt breakout. Okay, I'm not giving up on him. I still love the guy, but he's breaking my heart too much. Dallas Goedert, man. I think I've talked about this guy every week now, right? The last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts was the guy that I had at the top. I'm gonna stack him with Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert. I mean, is it Goddard or is it Goddard? I still don't know.
Goddard.
I think it's Goddard.
Okay, we'll just say Goddard. Dallas Goedert. I mean, the guy got 6 targets, 5 receptions, 82 yards, and I still don't think that him and Jalen have, like, how do I say this? Like, built this chemistry, you know, like a tight end quarterback. Like, they just have that great chemistry. And I think I've always said that if you really think about it, like, rolling quarterback, Konami code quarterback, their favorite target is a tight end almost. Like Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, Zach Ertz, and Kyler Murray. Well, I don't really consider Derek Carr a rolling quarterback, but yeah. But, like, I just think those rolling quarterbacks, if they're rolling out, that tight end always going to be open. And that's what I love about Dallas. Dallas Goedert just knows how to separate, too. He knows he's such a smart tight end. Against Washington defense, which I don't consider elite at all, 4,700, dude. I think his price, I wouldn't be shocked if we see it within the next month or so, go up to like 6,500. Once those touchdowns come rolling in, he's going to get up there in price.
Yeah, I like that. I like that call a lot. So my mid-tier guy is Tyler Higbee, which has been sort of a surprise for me this season. I mean, he's got 20 targets through 2 games. He's been the second most targeted player on that team right now.
Yeah.
He's playing the Cardinals. Like Tim mentioned, the Cardinals defense is terrible. Their pass DVOA is 28th right now. At 4.5, I think he will be probably fairly highly owned because he has been pretty good. But that is definitely one that I've got in my mid-tier that I'm looking at. I did have Gerald Everett listed at 4.4, but if Justin Herbert is out or in any way limited, I will be avoiding that at 4.4 versus Jacksonville. So keep an eye on Justin Herbert and his status there. But I probably won't be having too much Everett if Herbert is out or even if he's limited.
If Herbert's out, we're off that game, right?
Yeah, we're definitely off that game, 100%.
Yeah,
I'll tell you. Jacksonville's defense.
Jags D, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. No, I love the Higbee call. It actually really shocked me, his usage, but then I realized it's really tied to Van Jefferson and how they do their alignment. And as long as Van Jefferson is out, he's going to have an increased role. He's playing over 90% of snaps. So this is the Higbee we saw last year, beginning when he was playing basically every snap. So yeah, I'm going to have a lot of him this week too.
Good stuff. All right, Gerson, let's move down into your value here. I know this is kind of where you get your tight ends. You love the value tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go to. You want me to steal your thunder, bro, or you want to do it?
Go ahead, steal it, because the 2 guys that I have, you're probably gonna talk about both of them. So go ahead.
Are you sure, man? You've been waiting for this moment for a long time, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's been like 3 years now. You know, I'm just letting you know. I'm fucking with you, Jeff. You know I love you, man. Irv Smith Jr. I mean, last time the Irv Smith Jr. was relevant, Jeff was actually under 50 years old. No, I'm just kidding. No, Jeff, I don't think you're not 50, right? I don't think you're 50.
No, I'm 45. Almost.
Okay. I didn't say your age, you did. We get to Irvis. I'm gonna call him Irvis. Irv Smith Jr. for Detroit Lions, man. We've seen the Detroit Lions. I mean, they've allowed a lot of points.
Yep.
Their defense is not good. I think the best defensive player they have, okay, maybe it is Aiden Hutchinson, but I like to call it Blake Rodrigo, you know?
Yeah, Malcolm Rodrigo.
Is it Malcolm or Malcolm? Okay.
Yeah, it's Malcolm. Blake is Martinez, I think.
Oh, Blake Martinez. But no, I know him by Rodrigo, okay?
He's good, though.
3,100 for a guy that's super athletic, 8 targets, 5 receptions, 36 yards, and a touchdown. I almost said 36 touchdowns. I'm like, God damn. 1 touchdown last week. Monday Night Football, too. I mean, like, it to me.
And it could have been so much better if he didn't drop that.
Oh, my God.
I was just going to say that. But, I mean, Jeff was like, everything defensive man meme where he goes like, oh. And then when he dropped that touchdown, Jeff was like falling out of his chair. Well, he couldn't fall out of his chair when he saw him drop it. But, I mean, I love the guy, but I get, like, he's just injury prone. But this is DFS against Detroit line. You guys are gonna hear a lot of we've been talking about this game quite a bit, and it's gonna keep picking up. Trust me. And this game is 29.25 Vegas total for the Vikings. That is the highest of the slate, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
I think the game overall is the second hiest, but the Vikings.
Yeah, they're tied with the Bills.
And one of the things they've got to realize now, look, motherfucker, Justin Jefferson is amazing, but he ain't Calvin Johnson. Calm down, dude. Like, I get it, rivalry and everything, but just trust me, Darius Slay shut his ass down. But get the tight end involved, get Adam Thielen involved, Tim's brother, get him involved. Like, dude, just get KJ Osborne involved. Spread the offense out. And I think this game's a great game environment. I love this game so much. Give me Irv Smith Jr. Smash it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, Tim.
I didn't even talk about how I overcame the Bengals defense and won the game for the Cowboys last week. No. Gerson just touched on it, man. Is the Philadelphia Eagles have excellent corners. Obviously, Darius Big Play Slay and James Bradbury have basically forced everything toward the middle of the field. Who plays in the middle of the field? It's my boy Logan Thomas, right? He stepped up his snap share, he stepped up his target share, and he's still 3,500. So I think a lot of people are going to play Big Irv, and for good reason. I think they're going to skip over Logan Thomas. And I think particularly in your hurt stacks, if you're not going to play Goddard, I think he makes a good bring back candidate who's cheap to allow you to fit in everybody else.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah.
All right, so y'all took the two value guys that I had there, but y'all both have one more guy listed there. So we'll go back to you, Gerson, and talk about your last value guy there.
So likely this might hit, but it might not. I'm just letting you guys know, His name is Isaiah, and his last name is Likely. But he is very cheap. And I love to get you guys in because Jawan Johnson last week, 2,500. But it allowed me to pay up for Nick Chubb. It allowed me to pay up for Tua, Tyreek, Rashad Bateman, all those stacks, It allowed me to pay up for what I want. And I think Likely right now it's that guy that I'm likely to play. I'm just kidding, guys. Okay, I need to stop. Too many dad jokes like Jeff. Too many dad jokes like Jeff would say. But he is questionable. He does have a groin injury. You do got to keep out for that. But Jeff and I know this because we're degenerate dynasty players. But Isaiah Likely was a tight end we were just trying to pick up and just stash him. And he's an athletic freak, very talented, and they've gotten him involved. 5 targets, 4 receptions, 43 yards last week. He got 8 points. That's 3.3 times value. Can you imagine having a $2,500 tight end and then being able to pay up for, I don't know, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, all the top guys, That'd be awesome because he's 2,800. I apologize, guys. 2,800, still pretty cheap, $300 more. I'm going back to Likely. Against New England, I'm not worried.
Yeah. Only thing you want to make sure to check on Sunday morning, check his availability. He is listed as questionable, but Gerson will let you know what that status is on Sunday morning. And then we did have in the chat too, Tyler Conklin was mentioned. Actually, I do kind of like that play as well. He's at, what's his price there? Is it 3,800, I think?
3,800.
Yeah.
3,800. Yeah.
Yeah. I just put Jawan Johnson because he's 2,900. I think he's a cheaper pivot off of Big Irv. And he's been getting good target share, 5 and 7. So, 6 targets a game for under 3K. Not bad.
Good stuff. All right, that wraps up tight end. Let me get to let's pay some bills here. No House Advantage is changing the game by offering the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. Playing pick'em style contests and versus other people for a shot to win $150,000. Get the app, use our promo code GF2 and get a deposit match up to $25. Choose your contest, select your player props, and earn points. You get correct pitch, you can climb the leaderboard and win big money. You can also play against the house and win 20 times your entry if you hit on all your picks. You bet up to 5 player props, basically under overs and all your players, or individual matchups if you're going, sort of a rivalry sort of thing. You can play NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, MMA, NASCAR, pretty much all the major sports. Again, use promo code GF2, and you can use it at nohouseadvantage.com or get the app for iOS or Android and get your deposit match up to $25. And let's get to, we're going to switch it up this week. We usually do receivers next, but we kind of messed the show sheet up. So we're going to do running backs next. Actually, it's the other way around, right?
It's the other way around.
It's got me all messed up now.
And now, wide receivers.
All right, so we're going to hit this next drop here because we all have our lock of the week in the receivers here.
Lock it in.
All right, so we all have 3 locks of the week, all receivers. So we'll just hit the drop one time. But Gerson, go ahead and give us your lock of the week.
I mean, Cooper Kupp, man, the best wide receiver in the last year or so. I mean, this guy has gone over the last. There's only been like the regular season game, which is the last 2 weeks, 10 or plus targets, right? Before that, obviously, we count the regular season. So let's go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then he had a 9 reception game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So basically what I'm trying to tell you, one time in the last year or so, since week 2 right now, he's gotten targeted less than 9 times. I mean, more than 9 times, sorry. That's amazing for a wide receiver. That's his ceiling, right? That's his floor, 9, right? Now, he's gotten 10 or more reception, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. That's 50%, right? That's what you want out of your wide receiver. But the thing is, the guy is amazing. 108 yards, 100 yards every single game almost. Like, not every game, but, his ceiling is amazing. 9,900, yes, I get it. That's a lot of money for a wide receiver. Against the Arizona Cardinals, Devontae Adams just had a bad game against them, right? I don't think that was so much Devontae Adams. I think it was more Derek Carr. Derek Carr didn't do good. I watched that game. He didn't look good. He didn't look decisive. He didn't look ready. Like, I was as a Raiders fan, I was pretty fucking pissed off, because, our defense blew that game. But honestly, our offense didn't look all that great. We should have shoved it down their throat, But give me Cooper Kupp. The Los Angeles Rams are really gonna shove it down their throat. I mean, to give you an idea, against the Cardinals, he's done it many times. Week 14 last year, 15 targets, 13 receptions, 123 yards, 1 touchdown. Imagine a game like this week, he's smashing value, 34 points last year. I'm going right back to the well. I swear to God, if they put Isaiah Simmons on him, he's going to smoke the shit out. If they put anybody on that team, but that's my lock of the week. Give me Cooper Kupp. He's 13.3% ownership. It's going to be hard this week. You got to figure out how you're going to match these players in.
Yep. All right, Tim, what's your lock of the week?
Yeah, well, we're going to switch here a little bit. I'm going to go, and you guys know I have it hurts me. It pains me every time I have to talk about this player and the fact that he plays on the Minnesota fucking Vikings. But it's Justin Jefferson. I mean, this guy is, like, he's basically getting the usage like you were just talking about, like Cooper Kupp. Like last week, he got locked up by Darius Slay. Okay, that's true. But he still got 12 targets. Okay, the volume is there. It's always going to be there. And then this week, he plays the Detroit Lions, who don't have anybody in their secondary even close to as good as Darius Slay. So one thing we do know about the Lions is they play the most man defense in the league. They are not going to try and play zone against him. He is going to get bad corners matched up one-on-one. He's going to absolutely smash this week in games that are over games at home with the projection of over 28. He's basically a lock for 30 points. So 9,300, you basically need 30 points to get your value, but I'd say lock it in.
All right, Gerson, you got your hand raised there. What you got?
I love to lock it in, but I guarantee you, if you have me ever do the giddy, I'm going to tear my ACL again.
Speaking of gritty, Mike Gesicki should never try and do the gritty again because he embarrassed white people everywhere. So just leave that shit to Justin Jefferson.
All right, so my lock of the week is a little bit cheaper than those two guys, but it's Amon-Ra St. Brown against Minnesota in that same game.
Whoa. His name is the Sun God.
The Sun God.
Yeah, get it right, Jeff.
All right, the Sun God at 7.2 at Minnesota. He's playing in the second highest total game on the slate. He's currently fourth in the NFL right now in total targets, behind only Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, and Tyreek Hill. And only Diggs has more receiving touchdowns than he does. And he makes for a good stack with my quarterback, my value quarterback, Jared Goff, that I mentioned earlier. And at 7.2, I think he has a similar, not quite as high as Jefferson and Kupp, but he has a similar ceiling as those two guys. At 7.2, I think he's definitely in play. He's my lock of the week.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Waddle and Hill last week, he was the story of the week. I mean, early in the week, that's all anybody. Early in the day, I mean, that's all anybody was talking about was how good he was.
I had
Miami
Waddle
came
and
back.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, and one of my fantasy lines. That matchup was over quick. I had like 40 points for both of them. All right, let's go back. Elite talk about Gerson. Talk about your other elite guy there. Actually, to you, Tim, because you wanted to talk about.
I do. I want to talk about Stephon Diggs, because one thing, again, we talked about before the show is that projections and ownership and stuff is kind of all over the place this week. But the one guy that's kind of on everybody's list is Stephon Diggs. And I feel like the exact same thing happened last week with Saquon Barkley. So I said, is Stephon Diggs this week's Saquon Barkley? When you see that price, you say he's too cheap. You have to lock him into your lineup. He's going to be 30+% owned in big tournaments. And I think, now I'm not saying to fade Stephon Diggs because I think he's a great play this week, but I'm saying that there's a lot of leverage in fading Stephon Diggs this week. And there's a decent enough chance that he doesn't smash. He has a decent game, gets you 15 points, and doesn't pay off that salary. So I think the biggest leverage play on the week is pivoting off of Stephon Diggs. Yes, Gerson.
God, I feel like I'm from Utah, guys. So actually, I shouldn't be swearing if I'm explaining this. When I used to go to church, I used to be like this. Hey, great point, Tim. I love it. 7,700 for Stephon Diggs. And you're right. Like, this might be that game, because if you go look at Stephon Diggs' game versus Miami, he always gets shadowed by Xavier Howard.
Yeah.
And what we said? They leave him on an island, right? His last game, let me play his game. Week 8, 2021. 7 for 5, 40 yards, 1 touchdown. Cool. 15 points. Week 2, 2021, same year. 8 for 4, 60 yards, 1 touchdown. Cool. That's cool. But that's 16 points. The one before that was 15 points. Okay. 8 for 7, 76 yards. He would. Okay. Week 17, 2020, that's 14 points. Oh, wow. He had a great game. Wow. Holy crap. Week 2, 2020, 32 points. That was great. But guess what?
Yeah.
David Howard didn't play.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now,
and my one other point I was going to make, and I know this is kind of a narrative street, but go with me here. Players not named Cooper Kupp don't usually smash 2 slates in a row. Okay? Like, generally, like, he absolutely broke the slate the other night on, Monday night?
Yeah.
Like, usually guys are going to have a 40-point game. They usually don't follow it up with another 40-point game. So Stephon Diggs may hit value, but I don't think he's the guy you'll need in tournaments this week. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Love it.
All right, I got one more guy listed in my elites here, and that's Devontae Adams, 8.4 versus Tennessee. And really what I wrote down on my notes is 12 yards. He had 12 yards last week. If you're telling me he's not in Derek Carr's ear, like, hey, man, I had 12 yards last week. I don't know the last time he had 12 yards or less in his career. So Derek Carr is going to be looking his way early and often. There's just no way he has a game like that again in his career, probably. At 8.4, he's a little bit of a discount off of those other 2 guys we mentioned, Jefferson and Cooper Kupp. So I like Adams against Tennessee this week as well.
Yeah, and they're arguably depending on what metric you're looking at, the worst defense in the league. Like, they've allowed somebody to smash every single week. We saw what Stephon Diggs did to them on Monday night. So just replace that with Devontae Adams.
Yeah, in the chat there, they mentioned once again Renfro's out, so that also helps a little bit too with Devontae Adams. Tim, you got one more elite guy there. Go ahead and mention your boy.
Yeah, this was the guy I played last week. I'm going to go back to him again. It's Tyreek Hill. We talked about it in the quarterback segment. This is something you're going to have to get used to. We're going to play Tua. We're going to play Tua stacks basically every week. Why? Because Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins are throwing the shit out of the ball. And honestly, Chase Edmonds is not getting it done. I don't think we're going to talk about it, but Raheem Mostert's probably going to start this week. and get the bulk of the snaps. And they realize that running game they wanted so badly is not working out, but their passing game is better than they ever thought possible. So I think that Stephon Diggs Tyreek Hill absolutely cannot be covered by Buffalo's secondary, even at full strength. And they have multiple people in their secondary out this week, including their safeties. I think no safety can usually cover Tyreek Hill. No backup safety can certainly cover Tyreek Hill. So just, he's the Diggs pivot for me this week. Save $100 and just smash everybody who plays Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, there was a great TikTok on this whole Miami game and the sort of chess match that the coaches were doing. What's his name? Mike McDaniel came out in a formation where he had 2 running backs, a tight end, and then Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, right? So that's like a base formation. They came out in a very base, defense. The Ravens did. And they went 5 wide with 2 running backs and a tight end and just said basically Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are be lined up on the linebacker. We're going to beat you all day. And that's what they did. They just kept doing that.
Speed. That's all they had. They had speed all over that field. And the thing is, and I love Mike McDaniel. That motherfucker, he's crazy, man. People don't realize this yet, but as you go on in the season, you'll realize, you'll see YouTube, you'll see videos about him. He don't give a fuck. And I tell you this, he's nothing like Shanahan. Yeah. He's nothing like Shanahan. Guess what? Oh, Shanahan has a running back system. They're going to run the ball down the field. He don't give a shit about that. He knows he has Tyreek Hill. He knows he has Jalen Waddle. He knows he has a quarterback that has a noodle arm. But guess what? He's still going to throw that shit out of that ball. They're cashing it. They're just going to keep going. Greg Cosell, one of the smartest person in the industry for tape. He watches tape like life, like his life depended on it. He said this, I really don't think Mike McDaniel cares about a system. He cares about what's going to win the game. Mm-hmm. He cares, if this is going well, we're going to do this. There's a reason why, Tim just said it, Raheem Mostert started. Like, he basically started out of the game. Chase Edmonds, he was dead. Like, he got like, what, 2 snaps, 2 usage or something like that. Like, by halftime, I think Jared Good, Jetty Express, his heart was pounding so damn hard. He was wondering if the Vikings were going to win on Monday Night Football, Well, they didn't. But no, man, I just love that call, dude.
Yeah. Stuff. All right, let's move down into the mid-tier here, Tim. What do you got for your mid-tier?
Yeah, so this is going to be a kind of another thing we're going to talk about. And first of all, we skipped over. None of us had it, which I think is an absolute travesty. So I'll talk about them at the same time. I love the Bengals this week. I know we talked about it in the pre-show. I think they're going to absolutely smash the Jets this week. This is going to be Joe Burrow. Don't forget that I'm still Joe Cool, where he drops like 5 touchdowns. So I'm going to take the $2,000 savings this week and play T. Higgins. He basically he's healthy, right? I don't think there's any left over from the injury. He's running as many routes as Jamar Chase. He's basically hitting the same target share as Jamar Chase, but he's $2,000 less. And he fits really nice into that mid-range this week where everybody's going to be paying way up or going to be paying way down. They're going to be skipping over guys like T. Higgins, who still has that, 30-point ceiling that you need for tournaments. So just absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's a great call there. All right, Gerson, you got one guy left there we hadn't talked about in your mid-tier. Go ahead and mention him, and I'll mention my 2 guys.
It's just Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle, this guy, for the preseason, we were worried if he was actually going to play, right? Well, he's here, and he ain't going away. I love this game environment. I'm going to be all over him. And I think he's a better value than Tyreek. I get the price differential, but I think sometimes the percentage shift matters a lot. And the percentage shift is a little bit different. I always do this a lot in tournaments. And I'm a GPP player. Everybody knows this. I'm not really a big cash game guy. But I always try to go the opposite way with those wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 that have possibly the same thing. Think about like T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. Think about maybe not Adam Thielen no more because he did. But let's just say Irv Smith and Justin. No, I'm just kidding. Don't compare those guys. But I just think this game environment is so good. And for me, it's just I'm all in on this game. And when I tell you guys all in, I might have just lock that game in. Like, I might have 150 rosters of just 75 Tua, 75 Josh Allen. And again, my heart is beating right now, and I'm sweating under this sweater, like, like a lot. Like, I feel like I'm in a sauna. Holy shit.
All right, so I got two guys in my mid-tier, both from the same game, so I'll mention them together. It's A.J. Brown at 7.3 against Washington. And on the other side, we got Terry McLaurin at 6.4 versus Philly. We talked about this game quite a bit already. I think this is going to be Terry's sort of breakout. He's been sort of quiet the first couple of games. I do think that Carson Wentz, he wants to get to his former team. So I think Scary Terry's where he's going to be looking at. Another side, A.J. Brown, we've seen his first 2 weeks. He's been a monster. So at 7.3, I think he's still a pretty good value there in a game that should be fairly high scoring as well, as long as the weather's nice. So I do like those two there. All right, we're going to move down into our value tier here, Tim, and go ahead and pick one of your value guys to talk about.
Yeah, let's see. Looking at the list here. Neither one of you guys have them. So I'm going to go back to the well here on Greg Dortch. We talked about that there's not a lot of value this week. And this guy has consistently showed out when he's gotten the opportunity, and he's still 4,300. So I think I'm going to go there. The Los Angeles Rams actually give up the most fantasy points to wide receivers above expectation in the league. So this is a guy that you're already projecting for 12, 14 points at a 4,300 salary, and you're talking about he gets an even better matchup advantage. Plus, I saw several of the people in the secondary for the Rams are out as well. So he's going to be one of my favorite pay down players to fit in those high price guys. As Jared said, we're going to light the Dortch.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. I like that call a lot. All right, so I'm going to mention one of my value guys here, and he was, I think he was mentioned in the chat already. I got a great stat on him. So last week, we know how big of a game Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle both had. They combined for 318 air yards. Air yards is how far the ball travels in the air before it's caught from the quarterback. So Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle combined huge games for 318. Chris Olave had 313 air yards by himself last week. Now, granted, he only caught 5 passes. He got targeted 13 times. If Winston's going to air it out like that to Olave 313 air yards, he just needs to catch 1 or 2 of those, and he's going to pay off his 4.5 salary going up against Carolina. So Chris Olave is one of those guys I'm looking at this week with those crazy amount of air yards. I think it's highest I've ever seen for one single player, and 313 yards is ridiculous. So that is my value.
It's insane. Hey, one thing we haven't talked about, just kind of more of a general rule, is that week 2 we saw the rise of the rookies, right? Week 1 we saw the established veterans getting the bulk of the snaps, and week 2 we start to see it, right? One guy we kind of didn't talk about, but Garrett Wilson, right, stepped up in week 2. Drake London stepped up in week 2, and your boy Chris Olave starting to look like he's going to step up. So things are looking up if you got those rookie wide receivers.
Yep, definitely. All right, Gerson, what you got for your value receiver?
So you guys talked about Chris Olave.
Olave and Dortch. We covered Olave and Dortch.
Yeah, I'm going right back to Jahan Dotson, man. Jahan Dotson still too cheap, man. 4,600, man. It's just too cheap for me in this game environment. Philadelphia is gonna blow them out. Like, either they're gonna blow them out, or it's gonna be a close game. Either way, Washington's gonna have to throw the ball. And this guy, while he had limited targets, it's been valuable targets. What I'd like to say, he's been used in the red zone. And Jeff knows this because, well, I'm not saying Tim doesn't know either, but in preseason, the hype was Jahan Dotson is a better wide receiver than Terry McLaurin. The F1 sponsorship no longer F1. It's just Dotson. And it carried on to the regular season. So far, 3 touchdowns. I don't know about you, but I didn't see 3 touchdowns in the first 2 games. That's for sure. Maybe not even 1. Maybe, not the maybe. But 18 points, 17 points. That's 4 times value, 5 times value. And still $400 more? I'm going to go back to that game. I'm going to get some Jahan Dotson. Let me talk about this other guy, though, real quick. Elijah Moore. I've been touting this guy, I think, for 2 weeks now. It's coming, guys, and it's coming this week. against the Cincinnati Bengals. This game is going to be one of my favorite. I don't want to ruin it, but I'll say it later on. But it's going to be a game that I want to target. 5,000. Trust me, it's coming. Garrett Wilson had his game. That's cool. But Elijah Moore is just as talented as Garrett Wilson. And he's going to get his game. Just be patient. I understand the whole, well, what have you done for me lately? It's not great. But this is my favorite kind of value leverage, I guess you can say. 2% ownership. That is so cheap. Let's say Elijah Moore goes out there and gets you 20 points. For 2%, you're going to be jumping the field by at least a 10% leverage, you know? That's what I'm just trying to say. But those are my two guys that I love the value.
All right, so I'm going to talk about one guy real quick, and then you can get to the guy you have highlighted there, Tim. My guy's more of a cash game play. He's definitely a floor play. I think he's got 2 touchdowns his entire career. He gets targeted relentlessly, but cannot score touchdowns, and that's Jacoby Myers going against Baltimore, whose pass defense we saw got torched last week. He's only 5,000, so you're counting really on that PPR upside. He's probably not going to score a touchdown for you, but he's getting targeted. I think he's got 20 targets through the first 2 games. But what's that look for, Gerson?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ever see Muppet? The Green Muppet, when he turns to the driver's side and says, so fuck me, right? Like that's the way I put it. Like, I kid you not. I will not play New England players this year. I don't care how cheap they are. Unless his name is Ramondre Stevenson and he's playing a college football team, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I'm out on New England, man. I love you, Jeff, but I'm just out, man.
Yeah, Myers is the only one I'll play. I am not playing any of the running backs, not playing any of the quarterbacks. I'm definitely
I will say he's very questionable, though. So definitely tune in on Sunday to see if he plays.
He may not play. Exactly right. All right, talk about that one last guy there, Tim, and I'll just rattle off.
Real quick. Devonta Smith. We saw him finally get involved last week. I think this week he does play the majority of his routes, obviously, out of the slot. It's one of the best matchups against the Commanders. So you get the matchup, you get the involvement, 7 targets plus. That's 5,200. He fits nicely into your hurt stacks. I think he's just a great play and great leverage off A.J. Brown, which I think will be much more popular. And he's only 500 more than Goddard. And I just think he has more of that opportunity for a ceiling game than Goddard does. Probably doesn't have as high of a floor, right? But I think he has a higher ceiling.
Yeah, it looks like Brian in the chat mentioned that Myers is doubtful. I see your hand, Gerson. Give me a minute. Myers is doubtful. So obviously if he's doubtful or he's out, you're not playing him. I'm just going to mention the last few guys that I had on my list because I had a bunch of values listed. I had DJ Moore at 5.6 versus New Orleans. Okay. Juju at 5.5 versus the Colts. And then Samuel, believe it or not, Curtis Samuel leads the Commanders in targets. I think he's got 20 targets so far. So at 5.1 versus Philly, another guy that we can get from that game as well. Is that what you wanted to say, Gerson? You want to talk about Curtis?
Yeah, I want to talk about Uncle Curtis. 121 at 151 snap, 80% snap, 83% 83 slot snap, 83 routes on 98 once drop back. I mean, the guy is just leading the team in targets too, 22% share market. I mean, dude, he's making Terry McLaurin, and he's like, bro, like I'm over here making like money like Home Depot money, and you're over here making like Wally World money. I'm still better than you, man.
All right, that wraps up the receivers. Let's get to the running backs.
It's time for running backs. Running backs.
All right, we'll go to you first, Gerson. This time, give me one of your top tier running backs here.
Yeah, man. I think this one's gonna come more to a shock to people, but I'm all in on this guy this week. It's Dalvin Cook. I understand that he hasn't done, and I always say this, what have you done for me lately? I hate that fucking shit. Like, I don't care about what you've done for me lately. It's what you're going to do for me now. This game environment.
Gerson has filled the cursing jar tonight. He's cursed more than he has in a while. And he has a beard. No beer tonight.
I have a beer, right? But I haven't had enough. But no, you told me, and I asked you once, and you said, geez, it's okay, go. But he is going to be one of the highest owned running back at 14%. I was actually kind of disappointed in that because I wanted to get him like at 9 to 10%, but it ain't happening, man. It ain't happening. He is the fourth heaviest owned running back, but 7,900, man. Like 7,900 in this game environment is incredible for me. And you can put this, and I said it earlier this year in week 1. You can finally do a run back with a stack with a running back, dude. In this game, I don't know who's gonna be up ahead or behind. I can't tell you. And Jared's going to go to this game, and he's going to have his heart broken, or he's going to be very happy. Jetty Express, it might die. But Dalvin Cook, 7,900 against the Detroit Lions. Their defense sucks. I don't care what anybody says. It's not good or anything, but 14%. I'm going all in on him. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to him. I'm going to try to get him on a lot of rosters. To me, it's Justin Jefferson. If we keep doing this shit where Justin Jefferson, we're going to design the whole playbook for Justin Jefferson. I'm going to put a Madden playbook just on him. Well, guess what? You need to change that shit up. You're in the NFL, dude. Like, change that shit up. But give me Dalvin Cook, 7,900. I'm kind of nervous. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm kind of nervous because I'm going to have a lot of exposure to him. But give me Dalvin Cook. And that's the reason why I say that is because we're going back to the whole well of what have you done lately? Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, I'm looking at you.
Yeah. All right, Tim, what you got for your elite?
So this is not a mistake. I did not accidentally leave this filled in from last week. I am going back to the well on Joe Mixon. And I'll tell you a couple reasons here. First of all, the Jets' run defense is absolutely terrible. I expect the Bengals to be up early in this game and run the ball to ensure they get the win. But the other part of this is expected fantasy points. So this isn't something we talk too much about on this show, but I want to talk about it because Joe Mixon is number 1 in terms of fantasy points, positive regression versus what he scored, right? So his basically the opportunities he's gotten so far should have allotted to 6.6 more fantasy points than what he's currently scored. So that's number 1 in terms of running backs. The opportunities is there. The usage is there. The touchdowns haven't been there. This week he gets the touchdowns to go with it. Everybody who doesn't want to play Joe Mixon after getting burned last week will miss out because this week he's going to smash.
All right, good stuff. I'll just mention my 2 elite guys because I want to talk about the mid-tier guy that I've got. But I do have Jonathan Taylor listed once again. I know it's expected to be a lopsided game, but at 9,000, they only gave him 9 carries last week. Like, how do you give Jonathan Taylor 9 carries? That's ridiculous. The only way they're going to win this game is to run the ball. So at 9,000, I do like Jonathan Taylor. Eckler, they somehow found a way to give him the ball last week. Again, caveat is that Herbert has to play this week. If not, I want no parts of Eckler.
Okay.
But they finally remembered they can throw him the ball last week. I think fourth quarter he had like 8 targets or something ridiculous like that last week. So if he's
he can catch the ball. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot about that exactly. The whole game, I'm like, come on, throw the ball to Eckler, and they finally do at the end. But again, if Herbert's not playing, I'm off Eckler. But I do want to talk about my mid-tier guy, Miles Sanders, who I pumped up a lot in the offseason. I was trying to buy him in a lot of my leagues.
I said no to you. I said no.
You did. You did. I tried to get from Gerson, and he wouldn't sell them to me. But Washington is 29th DVOA versus the run. We've been saying for a couple of years now that we need to get Miles Sanders more touches. He always had the efficiency, but he wasn't getting the touches. Now he is. He's had 35 opportunities through 2 games, which is tied with Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey. So I think this is going to be his sort of breakout game right here, where he's just going to be a monster. And at 5.5, you just can't ignore that price tag for the amount of touches that he's getting. So Miles Sanders is my sort of favorite mid-tier guy. Tim, what you got for yours?
Yeah, so one comment is that David Montgomery is going to be absolute chalk this week. And I absolutely love Miles Sanders. I think a lot of people will be playing them together, but I actually prefer Miles Sanders of the 2. If I can get the money, and assuming he plays, again, pay attention to the Sunday show. Gerson gives you the answers to the test. The answer to the test this week is Uncle Lenny, a.k.a. Leonard Fournette. Okay, 6,500. He's way too cheap for what his role is in that offense. This week, they'll have nobody to catch the ball. It will be the Leonard Fournette show. He'll get I don't know if he'll get 30 touches, but it feels like that kind of game because the Packers are terrible, terrible, terrible against the run, okay? Go Pack go, but they cannot stop the run to save their fucking lives. And Uncle Lenny is going to run nuts on this week. So he tweeted out last week, put it on Twitter, fantasy managers everywhere. The touchdowns are coming. they're coming in week 3. Play Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, and Tom Brady has no one to throw to either, which doesn't really it helps Lenny's case for sure because he has nobody to throw to.
Yeah, man, that's pretty much true. Julio Jones, Chris Godwin haven't practiced this week. Mike Evans out, suspension. Yep. You have Russell Gage. He called Cole Beasley, gave him a call and told him, "Hey, yo, can I try out?" Yeah. Nah, bro, you don't need to try out. I'm gonna get you signed. Hey, Bruce. Yeah, sign the white boy over here. No. on aisle 5, the grocery bag boy, Cole Beasley. That's how it went. I love that call. I'm a Uncle Lenny fan this week for sure.
All right, Gerson, you got another guy in your mid tier there. I have him as a value, but you got him mid tier. He's kind of on that little ledge there.
Damian Pierce, man. Yeah, that was my lock of the week 1. Kind of broke my heart a little bit, but I'm moving on, man. Damian Pierce to me, $5,000. Wow, it's cheap. This game environment, Chicago, okay, but I keep looking at opportunities. That's what I want in my running back. He's gonna get the opportunity, and for some reason, I've never seen Lovie Smith have a bigger love affection for a person more than Jay Cutler. I don't know if it's the same feeling the way back because Jay Cutler don't like nobody. I'm telling you right now, but Damian Pierce. 15 rushing attempt, 69 yards. Obviously, he didn't get a touchdown. He was in that productive 8 points. We're not looking for that. But in this game environment, Chicago been awful this year. And Roquan Smith, I want to see his status for Sunday. He did deal with a hip injury, and if he's out, or if he's questionable, or if he's just injured or whatever, that defense is not as good as it should be. But I love Damian Pierce, 5,000. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to him. And it sucks because we haven't really talked about the high-priced guys. There's a reason. Because we talked about the high-priced wide receivers. This week is the week of you're going to pay down for running back. Find these guys, live in the mid-tier. And we haven't talked about one guy. I don't think we talked about DeAndre Swift, did we?
No.
But yeah, he definitely should be in there. He wasn't mentioned.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift should definitely be in there. He was in the higher tier, and Jeff just skipped over me. He said, "Fuck you, G." No, I'm kidding. Jeff never does that. He loved me, and I love him too. But DeAndre Swift definitely should be there. I think maybe I'm wrong. I'm either going 2 value running back or 1 high tier running back we talked about, and then 1 value running back this week.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we're trying to lock into the week, but it's very hard because you have to have roster construction. And shout out to the people that play our play, but I tell you this, we explain to you our plays, but how you do your roster construction is very important. And now, I did a breakdown on video on the DFS Roundtable on GPP. You can watch that. And tell you how I build GPP rosters. But the thing is, until you have that mindset of how you're going to build your GPP roster, we can give you the play. We can tell you but the thing is, we can't tell you how you're going to build your roster.
Right.
And this week is very hard. You either pay up for running back. Well, I'm not paying up for running back. You either pay down the mid-tier or you do a combination of everything we're going to talk.
Yep.
Hey, but before we move on, I want to make one last note. So speaking of paying down at running back, last minute news that came out right before the show is that Josh Jacobs is not traveling with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Shit, I didn't know he wasn't traveling.
Yeah, he's not traveling. Yeah, he's not expected to play at this point. So a lot of people are steaming up Zamir White. I believe this is a classic Belichick, McDaniels, 3-headed monster kind of situation. Brandon Bolden will play. Amir Abdullah will play. So I don't think that Zamir White is the lock and load at 4K he normally would be on a week where we'd need the value.
Yep, that's a good call. I do have one value I wanted to talk about. Now, I mentioned at the top there that I had Taylor, and if the Colts are going to hang in this game, that they're going to have to run Taylor at 9K. But if you think it's the other way around, you think Kansas City can blow them out, then Nyheim Hines at 5,000 would be the one you want to get. He'll get all the targets out of that backfield. If it's a blowout, I think you expect him to be in there at 5,000. He can get those PPR targets. So he's really my only value. Gerson already mentioned Damian Pierce. He was my other value that I had. I mean, the The Bears just gave up 200 yards to the Packers on the ground. Aaron Jones averaged almost 9 yards a carry in that game, which is ridiculous. So Dameon Pierce, if he gets 15 carries, he's going to be money for that. And Gerson, you have one last value there. Talk about your guy, then we'll get to our defenses.
So I keep talking about it. This game, I feel like people are gonna be like, "Is this like a repeat record? Like what? United 2.1. We're just going all over again." No, that's a Utah Station, by the way. Hey, Raheem Mostert, man. He was getting volume over Chase Edmond. Mike McDaniel don't give a fuck. He'll play the best plays, and that's it. And he started out with Raheem Mostert. And that's the sad thing. Like, we were on Chase Edmond last week, and we were waiting for Chase Edmond to show up. He never showed up. And Raheem Mostert is so cheap. I think he's 5,300, right? If I'm correct.
That sounds about right.
He's 4,500.
4,500.
Raheem Mostert is 4,500. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's Edmond. He's 4,500 against the Buffalo Bills. Like Tim said early on, the Buffalo Bills are dealing with a lot of injury. And like we said, McDaniel doesn't care. He'll line up his running back in wide receiver set. You know? If Raheem Mostert gets loose for one of those wide receiver sets, he's taking it to the house. He's taking it. Jeff, you've seen him run when he can run.
Yes, he can.
But, yeah, give me Raheem Mostert, 4,500. And I'm not enamored with, like, lower price than 4,500 this week.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. That's about the lowest I would go right there. All right, let's get to our defense.
Defense.
So last week, the Bengals were the one that kind of let us down. I think we all had the Bengals, and I think I had 100% exposure to the Bengals, too, in all my lineups, and that just
that's what it was. You had 100%.
Oh, my God. Why did you tell us?
All right, Tim, what do you got for your defense?
Yeah, so the one we talked about, alluded to at the top of the show, right? Justin Herbert, I don't think he's 100% whether he plays or not. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars at 2,300, a good pay down defense. And then if he does play, or if he seems like he's going to be okay, pay an extra 100 and play for the Cardinals. Even though I think that Stafford will put up a lot of points, he also has been taking a lot of sacks. So I think that you can get some extra points there.
I like it. Gerson, what you got for your defenses?
Well, first off, I want to give a shout out to Tim because I did not really know that Justin Herbert might not play this week. I thought he's just practicing, he's going to be good to go. But, yeah, I love that call on Jaguars. Obviously, I love any call Tim says on defense because it wins me. It prints me money. It doesn't win me money. It prints me money, man. No, I have the Ravens, man. I've said it all year. I don't believe in the Patriots offense. I think the Patriots offense is horrendous. And, yeah, they scored 17 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Okay. I don't really care about that because J.J. Watt didn't play. And, yeah, whatever. No, give me Baltimore's defense. I think they're too underpriced, too, in my opinion. 3,000.
Yeah.
And
3K seems like a good deal.
Yeah, give me that defense. And then
I like the other one you had, too, right? That they're going to spoil the return of Carson Wentz against his old team, and Eagles are just going to shut his whole shit down. I love that.
So,
I'm definitely going to play some Eagles this weekend for sure.
So the reason why I say the Eagles defense is because, as you guys know, I'm a GPP player. I like to correlate my position, like my roster, and and it's a very low correlation. Like it's not going to provide you high value. This is probably the lowest correlation for GPP. The Eagles defense with Miles Sanders. I want to correlate that. If I'm playing Miles Sanders, I'm definitely playing the Eagles defense. Yeah. Because let's say they blow them out. Let's say Carson Wentz decided to fucking choke. And the Eagles will be like, yeah, we told you, you know? Well, guess what? Yeah, that's what's going to happen. I mean, they're going to run the clock out. Miles Sanders is going to get 20 carries, 100 yards, and a touchdown. And then the Eagles defense is going to force. Dude, that Eagles defense is sick, man. Like, we haven't really. I understand that they allowed 35 point week one
to the Lions. Yeah.
The
Lions offense is good though.
Yeah, the Lions caught everybody off guard though. That's
the thing is, like, Jeff keep mentioning Lion player this week, and I'm like, I've only had like 5 or 6 beers. You can't be that many. But I'm honestly, I love I'm starting to like the Lions, but no, just give me the Eagles defense, man. 2,900.
All right, I'll just mention my two really quick. My two I don't really love as much as the ones that they've already talked about. Texans at Chicago. Obviously, Chicago is not a really good offense. I think Fields threw the ball 11 times last week. And then the Panthers versus New Orleans because of Jameis Winston. Really, I mean, he threw how many picks last week? He threw it right to the defender.
Oh, my God.
You could get the Panthers and get a few picks off of Jameson as well at 2.6. But I think I'm going with Tim there with Jacksonville at 2.3, especially if Herbert is out. All right, let's get to our stacks. Go ahead, Gerson.
So one of the things about that, did you guys know that Dak Prescott had more pass attempts than Justin Fields?
Yeah, and he's only played half a game. It's ridiculous. It's funny because that game I actually fell asleep during the second quarter. I fell asleep, and I woke up the next morning and I looked at the box score, and it was on Justin Fields 7 for 11. I kept hitting refresh, thinking that the app hadn't updated. I was like, what did he do yesterday? I don't get it. What's wrong with this thing? Yeah, it was pretty bad. All right, let's get to our stacks.
Going4two.com's weekly stack report.
All right, Tim, we'll go to you first. Give us your stack of the week.
Yeah, I already kind of gave it away earlier. I'm going back to Matty Stafford. Matt Stafford, Gerson's lock of the week, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, who I mentioned got an increased role right now, and run it back with Greg Dortch, who's still too cheap for his current role.
I like it. Gerson, what you got for your stack?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it pretty simple this week. Very simple. I talked about it all game. Josh Allen, by the way. Stephon Diggs, Gabriel, and Waddle. And then I'm, like I said, and I don't usually do this shit for stack, but I'm going to pay down the running back.
Yeah, I like that. It's an expensive stack, but if you pay down a running back, you can make it work. All right, so my stack is, and here I go mentioning more lines again. Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, Justin Jefferson, and you could even probably throw in Irv Smith Jr. in there at 3.1 if you need to get some of that value. Get those mid-tier running backs in there. I think that's
how to do the Irv Smith Jr.
I had to put him in. A little spice of Irv Smith in there. All right, let's get to our final segment, the sick call.
And now, the sick call of the week.
All right, so these guys have both hit on their sick calls. Tim's actually 2 for 2. He got Jahan Dotson in week 1. He had Evan Ingram last week, 2 for 2. Gerson hit his last week with Richie James. Unfortunately, I'm 0 for 2. So I'm going to give mine first since I'm the 0 for 2 here. And I'm going to go with Nico Collins versus Chicago at 4,000. He's been getting the targets. He's just not getting – he played some really good defenses the first 2 weeks. He's playing Chicago this week, which we talked about is not a good defense. If he can get those 6-7 targets that he's been getting at 4,000, I think he pays off. Maybe he even scores a touchdown this week. So Nico Collins is my sick call of the week. Tim, what's your sick call?
Yeah, this is a guy we talked about in week 1. Sammy Watkins is out. Christian Watson is hurt. I think it's Romeo Doubs week, man. All aboard the Doubs train. We need value. 3,800. You can't run the ball against Tampa Bay, but you can throw it on them a little bit. And I think this is the week we see the breakout for Romeo Doubs.
Good stuff. All right, Gerson, what is your sick call?
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to put it in the sheet, but I'm gonna be called a liar right now because I said I would not play any New England player.
Uh-oh.
But there's one guy I might play because he's a former Raiders player, man. Nelson Aguilar, man. It just sucks, man, because, I hate New England. But this guy is 4.1K, and he got 26 points last week. It's not going to happen, 26 points. Trust me. It might. I'm just going for 4 times value here, guys. No, fuck it. Let's go for 10 times. No, I'm kidding. No, honestly, I just want to break Tim's record. Tim's record, I think it was 10 times value, by the way.
Yeah, I think it was Philip Lindsay, wasn't it? He was in the Millie Maker.
Yeah, he showed it. But no, I mean 6 for 6, that's not gonna happen. But 110 yards, 1 touchdown, that's pretty impressive. But I think in this game environment, New England has to keep up. They have to keep up. And Nelson Aguilar, if he's out there getting that target, getting that many snap shares, he's gonna be out there the whole time. 4.1K. I understand it. I love the fact that Jacoby Myers is a thing, but he never gets fucking touchdowns. But Nelson Aguilar actually gets touchdowns every now and then. But I'm getting him at 1.9% ownership.
Yeah.
Give me him as a sick call.
I like it. I like it
too.
All right, fellas, that wraps the podcast up. Let's go around the room real quick. Give us your Twitter handle and anything else you want to plug. We'll go to you first, Tim.
Yeah, at Keto DFS on Twitter, and then get on the DFS Roundtable group in Facebook. I have my week 3 thread up every week. So hop in there, put your bad opinions, and join the chat.
Put your bad opinion. All right, Gerson.
Sorry. No, you can find me here every week, obviously. You can find me on Twitter at FantasyGDFS, and you can find me on the Sunday show. Well, this week it might be a little bit different, but with hold on, who's the new guy? Like we have I know Zach, but Jamie.
Jamie.
And the third guy, are we having a rotational or what?
It'll still be him. It's Ben. He's gonna be on every week.
All right, cool.
I think Courtney's joining y'all after halftime. After you come off, Courtney's coming on.
What? I want to stay for Courtney.
All right, then you can stay. Make it a 5-some.
I'll try to work it in. Courtney's awesome. I love her energy.
Yeah,
energy is amazing.
Tons of energy.
Yeah, I mean, like it's beyond amazing. No, you can find me on the Sunday show. Honestly, guys, like it sucks because we love to give you guys advice on Friday. But when it comes to crunch down, time down, make money, print money, Sunday show, like last week, I said Tua Tagovailoa was my mid-tier running back that I wanted to target. And I did my research. I did all this. But I also said Joe Burrow was the quarterback I wanted to target. Like, I'm not going to say I'm right or I'm wrong, but hey, if you had Tua Tagovailoa, I guarantee you won money. I also said that Nick Chubb was the moneymaker too. But I'm just saying this. Show up on Sunday show. I'll give you the answer to the test. I'll do all my research and put it in. Hey, one of the things I haven't mentioned yet. Sorry, Jeff. One of the things I haven't mentioned yet. I have a spreadsheet. I will be putting out all my plays. I will be putting out my stats. I will be putting out my information, everything like my research data, everything that Tim puts on the Facebook group. I'm going to copy and paste it. You guys will find that information very useful, by the way. Obviously, do your own research. It's on your own time. But, yeah, you can find me there. Please tune in.
All right, good stuff, fellas. As always, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. And something I've been putting out in the Facebook group as well, not only in the DFS Roundtable, but in DraftKings group, which is my group, is a blended ownership projection sheet that I get from Twitter. This guy, Aaron Hendricks, actually pulls projected ownership from 3 different places and blends it together and puts a nice little setup there so you can kind of see where ownership is going to be at. So if you're not paying for one of the big sites to get ownership, you can definitely check the spreadsheet out. It helps me out a lot. So definitely check that out. All right. For Tim and for Gerson, I'm Jeff. Good luck this weekend, and we'll see y'all next week.
Go, Pack, go!
Peace.